When working with JavaScript, JavaScript comes with a lot of free functionality that's built in within JavaScript. But in very often scenarios, you're going to have to write your own function and customize your own logic to create behavior that's necessary for your website. So that's what we're going to be looking at right now. So there we're going to be writing customized functions, and there is two ways to declare these functions. We have the old vanilla way, and then we have the more modern way of declaring functions, and we're going to be looking at both of them. So let's start off with the more vanilla way of declaring a function. And to do so, we're going to start off by writing function. And then we're going to name our function. Let's go double the value. And then we go parentheses. And then we open curly brackets. And this is our function declaration. So whatever we write inside the function is the logic that's going to be executed when we run the function. So what we're going to do here is inside our customized function, we're going to go alert. And then we're going to go hey, we're just going to say no, we're going to stick to double the value. Sorry. So we're going to go the value of 10 multiplied with 2 is, and then we go and write the mathematical calculation. So 10 multiplied with 2, right? And we have to concatenate this part. So if I now reload the browser, the code is not going to be run. And this is because this is just the declaration of the code. We're not telling the code to be executed here. And how do we do that? So we just do that by calling the function with the function name. So double the value and parentheses. If I now reload the browser, it's going to say the value of 10 multiplied with 2 is 20. And this is how we can write customized functions. So let's look at how we can do this with a more modern syntax using ECMAScript. And let's use some arguments here as well. So we go const, and then we name the function. So let's name this one double the value with user input. Then we go equals, parentheses, arrow, brackets. And the declaration of the function using more ECMAScript looks like this. And most people find this a bit more confusing at first and would rather use the more vanilla way. It's up to you. I prefer the more modern way using ECMAScript. So what we're going to do here is we're going to allow the user to type in any value, and then we're just going to run a alert which multiplies that value with 2. And how do we do that? So we're going to have to use arguments here inside our parameter. We're going to have a variable. We can name this x or number or anything. I'm going to name this x. And what this function is going to do is it's going to run the alert, and it's going to say x multiplied with 2, right? And x is the reference to the value that's sent into the function. So the same as previously, this is just a declaration, so the code won't be run. We have to make the reference to it. So double the value with user input. And the difference here is that we have a parameter here, which is x. So whatever value I send into the parameter here is going to be saved into x. So if I now let's just try and run this. I'm going to remove the first function we have here, and then we're going to reload our browser. And it's going to say not a number, because x is undefined, and it's trying to multiply undefined with 2, which results in NaN, which stands for not a number. But if I send in So let's say in our parameter, we're going to send in 100. And if I now reload the browser, it's going to say 200. So it's going to take x, which is going to point to the value that we're sending in, which is 100. And then it's going to run the alert function, which is x multiplied with 2. So if I make this 1000 and reload the browser, it's going to say, oh, I forgot to save. It's going to say 2000 because the value of x is now 1000. If I make this 10,000 and reload the browser, it's going to show 20,000. And this is how we can write functions. So let's remove this. Let's be a bit more creative now. And let's imagine we're playing a video game and we're going to create our first character. So using the ECMAScript syntax, I'm going to go and declare a new function. So const. I'm going to name this function create character. So we go equals, parentheses, arrow, and then we open the curly brackets, right? And here we're going to run, we're going to have a few parameters here. We're going to name our character. We're going to give it a race, and we're going to give it a starting weapon. But we haven't written any logic for this yet. So let's start off by saying alert and say you have successfully created your character. And then we're character, and then we're going to add concatenate the name of our character, right? And then since once again, this is just a declaration. If we want the function to be run, we're going to have to write the name of the function. So create character. And let's start off by not sending in any parameter here and just reload the browser and see what it shows us. So it says you have successfully created your character undefined. And this is because we're using the parameter, the argument inside the parameter name, but we're not when we're running the function, we're not sending in any name. So let's try by sending in a name of the character. So I'm going to name my character, let's name it after myself. So Erasto. And if I now reload the browser, it's going to say you have successfully created your character Erasto. So the name parameter, or the name argument inside the parameter is going to have the value of Erasto. So, and we're going to have to tell the user which race and which starting weapon as well. So we go alert, and we say you're playing a, and then we concatenate the race, and then we do a new concatenation, and then we name this one, you're playing a race, and your starting weapon is, and then we do a new concatenation, and we go starting weapon. I hope I pronounced that right. So this should work. But if I now reload the browser, we haven't really told which race and which starting weapon we're using. So if I now reload, it's going to say, first it's going to say you have successfully created your character Erasto. It's going to run line 2. Then it's going to run line 3, which says you're playing a undefined and your starting weapon is undefined. So, and this is because of the same reason as previously. We haven't sent in the correct parameters. So this takes in 3 parameters, and it's using all 3 parameters, and therefore we're going to have to send in 3 arguments here as well. So we go, our name is going to be Erasto, then we go comma, our race is going to be, we're going to be a wizard, and then we go comma, and then we go, our starting weapon is going to be a wooden wand, right? And these go in the same order as when you send them in when running the function. So if I now reload the browser, it's going to say you have successfully created your character Erasto. And you're playing a wizard, and your starting weapon is a wooden wand. And this is pretty much how we can customize functions using JavaScript.